I'm going to talk to you about January 30th, 1988. On that night, a young woman, 27 years old, graphic artist, was walking what were thought to be some of the safest streets in Los Angeles. She had just been promoted at work, and she was walking around Westwood with her boyfriend celebrating her promotion. Her name, Karen Tashima. Karen and her boyfriend were walking along Broxton Avenue, and for those who don't know, Westwood, especially at that time, lies at the gateway to the UCLA campus, and it was the place to go on Friday and Saturday nights. There was no 3rd Street Promenade, there was no Universal City Walk. People congregated in Westwood to just walk around and be seen. It was a thing to do. She was there with her boyfriend. Unbeknownst to her, there were members of two rival gangs in Westwood that night. They had squared off on opposite sides of Broxton Street. There was a confrontation. One of the gang members, Darrell Collins, reached for a .38 caliber handgun, fired at his rival, struck Karen in the head and killed her. That was a very consequential crime in the city of Los Angeles. Now, up to that point, gangs had been growing in strength and power, especially in our neighborhoods where poverty was concentrated. And the residents in those neighborhoods, mostly African American and Hispanic residents, had been long calling on city officials and county officials to do something to make them safer. But their cries for help were going unheard and unresponded to. It wasn't until someone got shot in Westwood that we saw this dramatic response, both from our law enforcement agencies and our court system. It didn't stop there. The legislature started to pass laws, like the STEP Act, which is our gang suppression law. A few years later, we got the 3 Strikes law. We got strong gun laws, all in response to what had been a creeping problem of violence that went unattended to until it became oppressive to all the citizens in Los Angeles County. I see parallels between that time and this time. There are red flags, and there have been red flags now for a couple of years. People in some of our most vulnerable communities have been pointing this out. Our leaders, though, are not responding in the way they responded in 1988. They're pushing back against this notion that crime is rising. We all feel it. It's in the statistics. Statistics can be easily interpreted to say whatever people want them to say, so they're not always the best source, unless you're looking at homicide statistics, which don't lie. Last year, we had more homicides in Los Angeles than the last 15 years, and this year we're on pace to have more homicides than we had last year. So crime is going up. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And it's not just that crime is going up. The crimes are being committed in a bolder way. They don't care anymore about being seen and being caught. A lot of that has to do with state law, but also Gascon's enforcement or non-enforcement of state law. We have Prop 47, which I've been critical of for various reasons. One of the things Prop 47 did was made it harder to file a felony in a theft case. It raised the bar. It more than doubled the amount of property that had to be stolen in order to file a felony. The legislature concluded we're seeing too many felony filings for what we think are minor theft crimes. So they raised the bar. Okay, that was controversial enough. But then George Gascon has come along, for example, and implemented a policy that he will not prosecute anyone under 18 who steals up to that higher limit. Effectively telling 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, you can go into any store you want and steal whatever you want as many times as you want, as long as you stay below the threshold of $950. Now, what does that do to a community like this? What does that do to our small businesses? It increases their costs. It requires them to hire security, lock things up. I was at Ralph's the other day. All of the soap powder and personal hygiene items are locked behind cabinets. And in order to get something, you have to ring a bell. You feel like a criminal shopping in your own local store. And now they have to pay additional employees to take time out of whatever they're doing. You know, the costs add up. And what happens? They don't absorb it all. They pass that on to the people who shop in their stores. Who are the people shopping in these stores? The people who can least afford to pay more for this added security.